Hey drivers, I have now completed the move to South Carolina. This is what we're starting with, which is wonderful. Can't really move around in there, and I have to get rid of some stuff to organize it, but that's a great problem to have. I also can't find anything. My first task is to change the oil in the truck, and I've been walking around for the better part of a half hour looking for an oil pan, for ramps, and for a couple of wrenches and maybe some cardboard. But that's what we're in for. Now the oil change light on the truck came on as I was approaching in that final load of stuff. Then the very next day, I had to catch a flight back down to Orlando to sell the house. So I still haven't unloaded the truck. That's gotta happen today. Over here is the Clampetts trailer, still loaded up with a million things, including the air compressor, which I kinda need right away. Also the welder is on the trailer. This tarp is not a long-term solution, so very, very soon I need to get this thing unloaded. I smell fuel back here. Not this one. There it is. This one is kerosene. And here's our cold. This is the 2-cycle fuel. All right. Yeah, got to get all this stuff unloaded. But for now, let's change the oil. It is now Saturday. I arrived on Monday, and I still have not gotten the trailer unloaded. I have a toolbox on there, air compressor, welder, a bunch of bins of tools and all kinds of things. I have to get that stuff off the trailer. So this morning I woke up with an understanding of really needing to pick up the pace. We have a rental property we need to renovate. It's overgrown. I have to get that done and rented before I can really focus on where I want to be. And that's this shop. And you can see it's going to need a whole lot of work too. Plus we got to find a place for all this stuff coming off the trailer. So we're piled on pretty thick here. That's all right. You just take one thing at a time. But today what I'm learning is I'm gonna have to do one thing at a time at a faster pace. There are a million things in here I want to be playing with, but no time. We've got to get this trailer unloaded and move on to the next thing. That was 1 year ago this week. It was kind of a sloppy start, and I have to admit that it is still a messy process. I moved up here to help a friend in need. And while it seems naive looking back, I have to admit that I didn't really fully realize how much effort it would take. But to be more specific, it takes more bandwidth than I thought it would. Both mental bandwidth, but especially emotional bandwidth. What I mean by that is you got to be thoughtful. To care for someone who truly needs your help, you have to anticipate challenges and come up with solutions. That's kind of obvious, but it's a very empathetic process, and that takes a lot of emotional energy to answer the call over and over again. It's one thing to put yourself in the situation, but to tread water within it is what I've been doing for a year now. And again, I wouldn't change it for anything. However, it means that progress with the shop has been relatively slow. Here's what's working. Number one, never ever give up. I know why I'm doing this, so I can endure almost anyhow. Also, not a bad idea to do whatever you can every little chance that you get. It sounds nice on social media to say things like, do a little bit of something every single day. And that's nice when you can do it, but some days you just can't. Some days your full day is taken up with higher priorities. And that's okay as long as you do what you can every chance that you get. The way I think of it is work with the world that you live in, not the one that you've imagined for yourself. Probably an unpopular opinion, because the world that you imagine for yourself revolves around you, and that's not the way that the real world works. So we're going to err on the side of realism and do what we can with what we have. And that's what we're doing today. In fact, yesterday I dug this out of the boneyard, and cleaned it up. So it got a paint job. It got a little bracket added onto the edge here because we're moving some things around, trying to clear some more workspace. And it was time for this auction find. That's a 6-inch belt sander to be mounted. I think it's going to need a little bit of work, but first thing it needs is a way to be mobile and maybe even operational. So we're going to assemble this belt sander onto its cart. That's what we can do today. This is one of those side quests. I'll start out to do something, whatever it is, but I'm so surrounded by little tasks, medium-sized tasks, just everywhere, that if I can at all, I'll just go ahead and do the thing. Like, really, I wanted to just move stuff around yesterday, and this piece of equipment isn't all that movable. Well, that's a higher priority to me, is to make things movable. We're putting things on wheels, lots of things on wheels. In other words, when I see a little piece of work that needs to be done, I really try not to leave it till later. And while that means it feels like things are moving at a snail's pace, because they are, that pace will pick up over time as there are fewer and fewer little tasks around me that need to be taken care of. The tricky part of mounting this thing is the exhaust here. It hangs off to the side, obviously, but is actually lower than the base. So this kind of needs to be mounted on the edge of a platform. Plus, it's driven by belt, so the motor is mounted separately. That's this guy right here, and needs to be adjustable. So those long holes there solve that issue, but the belt guard does not have any adjustment to it. So we needed to deal with that too. That's how we arrived at this frame, but let's get the platforms on there first. Don't want to lose this shelf space, so let's put the shelf in. Now, as it sits, it is really unstable. I hate that, but this was what I had on hand, and we just got to make it work. It wants to tip forward. I mean, this is a lot of cast iron here, right? So it wants to tip forward, and of course, it wants to tip that way also. Putting the motor on, which is next, will really help. And then I think I need to find something heavy to store down there. Something related would be great, but at least something heavy, maybe more on this side than that side, and that'll help us out a bit. Thankfully, I'm surrounded by heavy things that need to be stored somewhere. We milled these little slots here so we could move this cover back and forth. I milled them way longer than I think I really needed to, but I know this is going to move and this isn't. So we wanted a little bit of adjustment, even though it's so limited. As long as nothing rubs with the belt decently tight, we're going to be in good shape. We're close to testing this thing out. I believe we're going to have issues. Need to hook up power. Now, this electrical arrangement was on it when I bought it at the auction. All of this was bolted to a workbench that I did not buy. So since I was the first one there between me and the buyer of the workbench, I got to remove it all. So I kept this electrical intact, left the workbench as it should have been. And now we're going to remount it to our little cart, which I think we've managed to keep pretty easy. There's a welcome difference. It's just a standard single pole switch here, like a light switch. That'll do for this small motor. I think it's a ball door, so that's cool. Yeah, it's just 1/3 of a horsepower, so we're in good shape here. Here's how they're doing the ground. I mean, I guess it could have been bolted to the box. There's a place for a ground screw down there. In fact, if I can find one, that's the way I'm going to do it. But if I can't, this is how they had it. They had it underneath the switch screw. So let me go look for a ground screw, and we might just mount that in the bottom of the box where it kind of goes anyway. It's just what we were looking for. Just one of these little ground screws. These sockets with the magnet inside of them have improved my quality of life. Okay, we are now grounded whether or not the cover is on. Not a must-have, but a nice-to-have. These little retainers are actually, at least one of them are supposed to come off. That way the switch is grounded. Before I get ahead of myself, let's actually mount this thing. Okay, fire in the hole. Yep. I have not explored this knobby knob or that knobby knob or whatever used to be here. This is the tilt for the table, so I got that one under control. These others, though, I think are going to need some attention. Ooh, we need some fasteners here. We're missing the cover here. I guess we're just kind of out of luck on that one. But it turned on, and I didn't hear the belt rubbing. And you know what? A win's a win. We're going to take yes for an answer. The goal was to get this thing mobile. It is now mobile. Cleaning it up, making it operational, obviously that's the next step for another day. And that, folks, is how we're going to build the new Haptic Garage. One step at a time. Sometimes it's a little step like this, and sometimes it's a big step like what you're going to see in the next video. We got a little something brewing behind the shop. Keep your project alive and drive the dream. We'll see you in the next one.